What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to World of Art Form, and I am here with music journalist and Pitchfork contributor Serge. Serge, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's good, bro? How you feeling, Bryce?
Man, I can't call it, man. I'm just happy to have you on here. I know this is something that I've talked about. I might have hinted at for quite a while now, probably since the first season. I was like, Serge, come on, Serge, come on.
Yeah,
I'm glad now is the time that we're able to connect the dots here and be able to talk.
for sure, for sure. I'm glad I've been seeing you doing your thing, so I'm like happy to be on here.
Man, and as you doing your thing too, man, which is
Mm.
what we're here to talk about, and and we'll just jump right into it. Um, I do want to talk about, for starters, the importance of music journalism, especially now in a time where back in the day you knew all the journalists and it was just clear cut.
Yeah,
Nowadays, you can just open up your phone and you see thousands upon thousands of armchair experts,
yeah,
excuse me, who like to think of themselves as musical experts, right?
yeah.
And
I
music
guess so.
journalists, right? So
Mm.
in this day and age with that present, like where do you see music journalism and its importance?
I guess like music journalism to me, I guess is like kind of just writing about to me like I guess it's different like music journalists. I guess you can get music journalism for like reporting and things like that, but for me personally, it's just more about like the experience when listening to music and kind of just like the little cultural things that go into it. So I guess this is really just like my I guess I really think about it as like a personal connection to the music. So it's like, but there's different routes you can go into. I guess music journalism. I guess but it can be a critical fit, just critical fit. But yeah. But I guess to me like journalism and this music journalism is weird because it's not really you can't really have to report on stuff if you don't want to. So it's yeah. So
And
I feel.
and I think from and I think from the angle that you take it too, and I was realizing this as I was reading your work, there's a lot of people who listen to music that love the music, or maybe they don't love the music, but they also don't really understand what it is that they're listening to, or
Mm,
they don't really understand how to phrase what they're listening to. Right. So I feel like part of it too, when it comes to journalism, is being that person where it's like, no, like this is what you're listening to right here,
yeah.
and I'm not here to change your opinion as to why you think you like a song or why you don't like a song. But all these things that you're probably thinking in your head or you might not have thought about in your head, this is what's present in the work too.
Yeah, you put it perfectly. So like it's really just about like I would say just giving context to the song. That's probably like the number one like I guess like ethos I have in it. And like when I try to report, it's just like giving context to like what a song came about. Like because usually like before you hear a song, there's like many steps that go into before I guess before an artist reaches like a major audience. This usually stuff that had to go into place before that happened. So kind of just giving context and background of that and where they fit and all that. So
Right. So for you, what's your musical background that got you on this path to where you are now? What'd you grow up listening to? Um, how are you introduced to music? Talk to me about that.
I guess for me like personally like um my family were like my mom and dad were immigrants, so like they didn't really listen to much American music, and so a lot of my music awakening was just listening to like what my older brother had on his iTunes and shit, like and stuff like that. So whatever he had in his iTunes before I was I guess thinking critically of music, I just listened to whatever he had. So he might have had a lot of like 50 Cent on there, maybe a lot of definitely a lot of Kanye, of course, some Plies on there, but a lot of course Little Wayne, but like I guess like I didn't really have like an ethos of what I like because I didn't because so I just listened to it whatever was like really whatever was in my library I would just shuffle on like his iTunes library copy really just copy and paste it before I try to I guess maybe middle school I found my own taste and I started listening to I guess I started just listening to things I found on YouTube, just about rappers. I guess that were intrigued by me. Like I was a huge Meek Mill fan in like seventh, eighth grade. Like I don't know why he intrigued me so much, but
We
like
all were.
yeah, exactly.
We all were.
So like Meek Mill, like sad to say probably like J Cole, early J Cole. I listen to a lot of early J Cole, but yeah, I guess that's when I first I guess started like having like, all right, this is what I'm actively looking towards and stuff like that.
No. Do you, have you seen your own personal taste evolve from talking about that from that seventh, eighth grade level
Oh
with the
yeah,
Meek Mill and the J. Cole to now?
oh
Is it
yeah,
a night and day difference?
yeah, exactly. Like now it's definitely like a little like I look back and like damn, it's a little cringy. Like even listening to those old tapes is like, um, I still have a feeling towards them, but it's more of a nostalgic feeling. Not like damn,
Yeah.
it's just so great. Like it's more like you
Yeah.
just say, oh wow, I remember what I was going through in this time when I was listening to this. I thought it was so crazy, but like once I started learning more about music, I'm like, oh, it's even crazier shit. So it's like
Right.
yeah, so yeah, it's been cool. Just like I feel like it's cool just to always be in like in awe. Like I'm always trying to find something new. So it's like, oh shit, that's like I feel like even if you ask me what I have listened to last year, it'd probably be something different. So
Do you think that's your pathway to being able to write as well as you do, and being as open as you are to all these types of sounds?
but yeah, yeah, exactly. So I guess um I definitely like don't want to get I definitely don't try to get bogged down into a single like a single sphere of like music. So it's like I definitely try to like definitely move the music my own time. I might go back to and listen to like just like last week I listened to a bunch of like 2000s R&B because I was just in that mood.
Yeah.
But but yeah, so like I definitely travel like with travel back and forth with music and just definitely just try my hands at different things. Even if I don't sometimes I don't have to care enough or like the background enough to maybe write about it in a way that would make sense. But I definitely just try to like just use it just to open my ears a little bit more, just challenge myself.
Absolutely. I want to talk to you about how you analyze music, and I think the biggest thing for me, at least, when I hear people talk about this, especially rappers, it's or artists in general, it's the time component that goes into it.
Yeah,
And again, just talking about how things are nowadays, there's an instant satisfaction, there's an instant gratification towards the sounds that we hear the minute that it drops, and we have to have an opinion on it as soon as it drops.
yeah,
And you get a lot of pushback from that when it comes to the artist. It's like, yo, it's like I spend however much time working on this
right,
project just for you to, you know, judge it in what, 30 minutes to an hour,
yeah.
give it a little bit of time. For you, how do you measure the time aspect of it when it comes to analyzing the music?
Definitely like I think yes, like some artists like were like yes, music I guess can be I guess yes, artists probably do want you to listen to their like take time to form your opinion, but like that's not even how like I don't think like that's even how like brains work. So it's like brains, of course, like you when you listen to a song for the first time, you're gonna have an opinion on it, is it good or bad. But then like probably the most like one of the most beautiful things about music is that like your opinions change over time, and that's part of like listening to music. It's like back when the niggas were didn't have streaming. Like of course, like if you bought an album like a CD of an album, you wouldn't just okay, this is bad and not listen to this album ever again. You just paid money for this album, so you're gonna listen to it again maybe until some songs that you thought were good are now bad. Maybe some songs that you thought were bad are now good. It's just like it's constantly just reevaluating, just like which is it was just okay, but like I think like music reviews are just like a snapshot in time, which is cool. It doesn't need to be a definitive opinion about this music. It's just about like okay, this snapshot in time. This is what I think about this album,
Yeah.
which is okay with me. Like I don't have no problem with that.
I think that's a very interesting way of looking at it, and I don't think a lot of people normally do
Yeah,
look at it that way. So I really appreciate you sharing that. For you, when do you know when you're ready to write about something?
I guess one, like once the time like there are like a lot of times like when I say when I have like a feeling towards it, like when I can think of like what can when I can think of like what I want to like say about it in a unique way. Like if I have nothing to say, like I feel like I listen to a lot of music, so like sometimes I might not have anything to say about an artist or a song, but it's just about picking and choosing about what you want to write about. Just the thing about I guess genres in a way because there's so much music out. There's a lot more picking and choosing about what you want to write about. I like to focus more on like scenes that are up and rising, or artists that are up and rising, things like that. So or
And
just yeah, go ahead.
and I didn't mean to cut you off. How much of it is a factor of relatability to maybe the artist's perspective, maybe the sounds that you're listening to? How much of it is just as simple as I don't relate to this sound, therefore I won't write about it because I don't have that strong of opinion on it, versus I can relate to it. I see the sphere that he's coming through. Let's I want to write about this.
Oh yeah, exactly. I definitely try to stay in this kind of like I guess I feel like I'm still a work in progress of writing, so I definitely try to stay in like in the realms of like knowledge that I know of. So, but definitely like just, but also like I feel like relatability doesn't like really tell you whether or not like the song is like good because I guess it's like the whole point of like even if I don't relate to like a song like it's still like as long as the artist can make me feel like I relate to the song, that's like you did your job. To be
Yeah,
honest, like just like with street rap, like no one's out there being a street rapper, but like
yeah,
if you can make you feel that, then like okay, you know you did the job. So
right.
that's how I feel.
Like you know where it's coming from.
Exactly.
So yeah, and I asked that too because I feel like I see this a lot. I don't know how much this happens in music, but I feel like it happens in fashion a lot, where you present an artwork, go through the runway process,
Mm,
and I feel like this especially happens with black artists, where they'll have this big presentation and it's about something that is, authentic to them and their culture, and then you have other talking heads saying, "Oh, well, it was about this, and that," and I was like, "No, it
mm,
wasn't."
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So it's like how valuable is the opinion at that point when you miss the mark on what it was about the entire time?
Exactly. That's why it's like it's definitely I guess like once you put in like an artwork out there or like a work of art out there, it's definitely up to everyone else's interpretation as well. So it's like it depends. It depends on how you want. I guess it depends on the artist how you want your work to be received.
Right.
Do you want to over explain everything? Do you want to just let it sit there? It
Yeah,
depends on how you feel about it.
that is a good point because a lot of people do leave it open to interpretation,
Yeah,
but there are some people that's just like, no, like
yeah. Exactly.
what?
I guess when you're just like very wrong, it's like nah, I gotta cut that shit out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah.
So I want to talk about, because it's one thing to have these opinions. It's a completely other thing to put pen to paper and actually write about it. So I want to start off by talking about what you feel like your writing style is once you're doing these write-ups and when you're doing these reviews for these artists and the songs and the albums.
But yeah, so like I guess my write up is just kind of like, I guess what I was saying earlier is more just like I guess like my personal experience to like the like music. I don't try to really get into like the reporting of it or like the objectivity of it. I kind of just like to give. I kind of wanted. I like my style to be very subjective. Like like this is very this is coming from me. It's not like hey, I'm trying to give you the most objective opinion about this album. It's like nah. I think especially because it's penned by you. It says by you, so it's like you don't have to like really report to anybody about how you feel about a song. It's like I try to make it like how you would talk about it in like in a group setting with your friends. I mean, you your friends are talking about music. I want it to feel like that.
Right. So it's not law,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's just you. So what a I told you I interned in the music industry for a brief second for a couple of months. One
Mm.
thing that I noticed was how thin the walls are within the music industry. Like
Oh shit.
you worked elsewhere, I've worked elsewhere, we are working elsewhere, and say you mess up and it'll just like go by the wayside because you 9 times out of 10 you don't even know who the customer is,
Right.
where you mess up and it doesn't affect you.
Hmm.
Music is different, where one screw up, you know exactly who the fan is. You
Right.
just go outside and walk 5 minutes and you'll find somebody,
Hmm.
more oftentimes than not. And those people go directly to the artist, and the artist can say, "Oh, well, don't look at me. Look at such and such over here." It all
Right.
lies point back to you, right?
For sure.
And I look at where you are from like a journalism angle, and there's the element of the artist, and there's also the element of the fan as well, right? So, does that put any level of, I don't want to say pressure, but a level of detail into making sure, like when you're writing what you're writing, you're perfectly clear as to what exactly you're saying?
Exactly. Like you definitely want to search for the right words to say things. You don't want to like just you don't want to give it like a you don't want to just like on Twitter you can just say, "All right, this album is trash," and that's okay. But you cannot just say that's album trash in the write up. You have to say, "All right, what is it?" You have to be very specific. Like this is one of the things I always learn from like my editors, just being very specific in what you're detailing and what you don't like about an album. You don't want to just say that I don't like this. It's not very it doesn't give context at all. It's because you might just because you want to say exactly about what you don't like about it, what you do like about it, and that and people connect to those people like resonate with those small moments. So you just want to just be yeah you just want to give as much detail as you possibly can to like why you don't like something or don't or do like it. So that's what I try to focus on as well.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I want to talk about, I guess, the landscape of music and rap and where it is today, potentially where it's going, and the conversation points around it. I'll start off by talking about some of the work that you've put out in song review, and we'll have the link for it for
Mm.
everybody to see. Um, you covered Roddy Rich's latest project.
Yeah,
Believe it's Feed the Streets 3. And I'm not here really to talk about the review from Roddy Rich's perspective by itself. I'm really here to talk about the conversation that you really hit on within the work, which is you go from your debut project, which leads to flat out superstardom,
mm.
top guy, and it happens overnight. It feels like, at least life changes overnight. Take a while, go to the sophomore project, and universally just not well received. And you follow it up really quickly with a third project where you're trying to create that old thing back. Like you're trying to get that old thing back that you
Yeah,
got from the first project. And as you write, it just doesn't land the way that he might have wished it
mm.
would have. And you also mentioned you mentioned two things. It's not a one size fit all. Like that's not the route that you necessarily have to take
Mm.
when dealing with that sort of setup between good project, bad project. How do you follow that up? Um, but more specifically, it's nice in theory. It's
Yeah,
a nice pathway to take in theory to try to strip everything that came from the sophomore project, all the glitz and glamour attached to it, get back to what made that first project so special, and try to see what you can get out of it. It is a nice thing in theory.
yeah,
I I read that, and it makes it hard for me to really see, which again is nice in theory. It feels like a hard ask for any artist who feel like they can necessarily do that. just strip everything because the life just
Yeah,
changes.
yeah. It's like like yeah, it's like it's yes, it sounds good in theory what I said, but it's like it felt like a lot of pressing, almost like it was like, hey guys, I'm back, I'm back, but it's like
Yeah,
that's not how like reality works, and like that's not what that's not how fans. I don't think that's not how fans think. Like it's not to say like it's not even like to say like these are like bad songs. It's kind of hard to make like bad songs, but it's like they're not interesting songs. They're just like, oh, he's trying to do something. It just feels very telegraphed, I would say, about
yeah,
that project. So and I guess this time the problem is like I guess but also that's also like think about what makes how making good music is so hard because it's like what can you really I'm not sure how you can like combat that from an artist perspective. It's like he can just make the music he makes. I don't know. It's like but I guess it's up to the public to receive it how they receive it, which is but I guess you can't kind of tell the public how you want it to be received, which is I don't think people like being told what to do.
right. And I think for me, it's just like you just can't manufacture
Yeah,
the old feeling that you had and the old circumstances that you had when everything just changes for you so
mm,
fast. Like the life that you live now is nowhere near the life that you had when you were making that project.
right,
And it's just a world of difference. And it happens in such a short span, but so much happens in that short span where it's like, do you really want to go back to how things were?
exactly,
So and I don't think any artist really cares for any level of stagnation because otherwise they probably wouldn't even be making music on a higher scale. Like a lot of these people do it to get out of the circumstances that they were in,
exactly,
right? So it makes it makes it tough, and it does propose the questions like for people that are in that sort of predicament, like what do you do?
exactly. There's like this old social tweet I always like get reminded of who says like the rapid ascent is always followed by the violent nosedive. I think about that a lot. So like he got up really fast, but like every time like because like he broke a record. Now every time you drop something, okay, you have to live up to that record, and it's like that's not how like life goes, and that's not how this is not how things go. It's like there's peaks, ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys, and things like that. So it just happened to like be okay with that, and just knowing that that was like a special moment with like what happens next and things like that.
Right. We go from that to something else that's been, I guess, floated around a lot. I don't think it's anything that's been news per se, but um, I listened to Lil Yachty's last project for the first time in preparation for this because I knew I wanted to ask this because a lot was made out of him stating that he wanted to be more than just a rapper,
Yeah,
and that got a lot of criticism. And I guess from some angle, I can understand and empathize with that level of criticism that was received. But from you and for your perspective, how should we go about, you know, these sort of situations with artists such as Yachty who just simply want to be more than just a rapper and be labeled as more than just that?
yeah. I think is the thing about like Yachty's project is that I actually don't dislike the project. I think there's actually pretty some like good fun ideas on there. I just think I think the conversation that surrounded it is it's kind of his fault. I feel like I think maybe if he would have dropped the album without saying like too much about what he was trying to do, like people wouldn't have taken offense to that. But him saying that hey, I did this album to be respected and to be respected as I'm an art, a true artist. It just makes it like just not cool, which is like so it's like I don't know. It's just I feel like if he didn't say that, maybe people would think of it different. I think if he would just let the album just go release it, sit out there, no thoughts, like it would I think it would be received differently. But also I don't think it's a problem with. people. I don't think it's a problem with being a great rapper. Like that's a great feat to want to be. I don't think a rapper and an artist are different. I mean, or like or not. What's the word for it? I don't think there should be. I don't think this should be separated like rapper as an artist and things like that. So
And I completely agree too. And I agree with what you said, right? And there is that element. I think that's what got people saying what they said. But just kind of listening to everything now and just kind of like taking a step back after like that instant reaction. It's like, oh, why do you want to be more than, yada yada. It's in fairness to him, he nor anybody else who came up during that time, that style was never really championed in the
exactly,
first place by, hip hop in general. It wasn't championed. It probably still isn't championed to this
exactly,
day. It's probably more so just accepted as for what it is, and you're never going to get that old thing back. Like these kids didn't grow up. Kids, they're our age, but um, they they didn't grow up listening to Biggie. They didn't grow up listening to Tupac. They didn't grow up listening to any of that, right? Like so, these were natural disruptors from the beginning.
exactly.
So it's kind of hard to, you know,
Yeah,
go from that to saying, but don't be more than a rapper, right?
exactly, exactly. So like, and you brought up a good point where just like, they were kind of like they were kind of forcing people to conform to like what how they wanted their music to sound. I think y'all they kind of the album's still good, but like it's kind of a retread where it's like he's trying to conform to what people's ideas of a good album are instead of just making your own idea of what a good album is, like forcing people to say, "Hey, no, this is a good body of work because I did it my way."
Yeah,
But he wanted to I guess he wanted to play the game. He wanted to be respected by like I guess the major industry holders or whatever, power players or whatever, and say that hey, I can do this too. But it's like you don't need to do that to um, you don't need to conform to be I guess respected. But
I absolutely agree
yeah,
because I felt the same thing when listening to it, right? That it was like, okay, but this sounds more like what everybody else just deems as like this
yeah,
artistic masterpiece as opposed to like,
yeah. I feel like he's feeling like check boxes like hey,
yeah,
this is what my favorite heralded albums have.
yeah,
I'm gonna do this and this.
yeah.
But it's like um I don't think I don't think because you did that that should be marked as impressive. That's just it's good. It's
Yeah,
cool, but
and
it's
and
not
it's
like
cool,
that doesn't make it cooler than what you did before because you did that
right?
because you checked those boxes.
Right. And I think moving forward too, just this goes beyond Yachty himself. Like for anybody who feels that they want to be labeled as, more than just rappers, it the more I thought about it, it sounds very similar to Virgil when Virgil said streetwear was dead.
Yeah,
It sounds very similar to Michael B. Jordan when Michael B. Jordan said, "Hey, don't give me black rolls." Like this, it feels like the equivalent of it. And I can understand from the lens that they have when you see Virgil pass, and what was it? It was the Grammys that honored him, and
yeah,
and it said hip hop designer. I was like, oh well, that's the
yeah,
shit they were probably talking about all along,
yeah. Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
it's
So
a
yeah, I definitely understand from this perspective why they would not, because the connotations of it it would like just the connotations of it, but it's like I guess don't play into their hands almost. That's
that I agree with. I
yeah,
there is a happy medium
yeah,
between the two,
yeah,
right? And and that's just what it is, right?
mm,
So definitely agree with you there. And I think the last thing that I want to hit on here is just kind of like where we're at with music in general, as specifically rap right now in hip hop, where a lot of this older generation is slowly I don't want to say fading, but fading. And Kendrick shows up here and there. J. Cole shows up here and there. Drake does an interview with Yachty and says that he's slowly getting his way to retirement. And there was a clip that was moving around on socials. I think it was Rory and Maul, where it was just like, hey, Drake can't retire because there's going to be no king or queen of hip hop. Do do you view music or view rap as
Nah,
in a
I
state
don't.
where
I
like
don't even think like that's a different way to think about it. But I don't view music like that at all. I don't view music as like there's a king and a queen and things like that. Like I don't like that's. I guess I don't know. Maybe that was needed in the older generations, but I don't think music's there's so many avenues you can listen. There's so many different like warm hosts you can get into with music that like what you listen to and for someone else listening to is like or two different two different viewpoints and two different spheres. So it's like I don't think I'm not sure if we need that. Maybe like I don't know. Like I don't. That's just a weird topic to me because I don't think that's needed. I think people say that on social media, but I don't think like people. I don't think like the music was suffering because Kendrick wasn't here. I don't think
yeah,
music was suffering because Drake didn't drop an album or they dropped didn't drop an album. It's like music will keep going. People will continue creating great things.
right.
So
And you mentioned it too earlier when talking about buying a physical project, buying a visual single, buying a not a visual, buying a physical um album. And there was a competition level from that angle to now how we consume music. You pay a monthly fee and you listen to any and everybody who's on that platform.
yeah,
So I said it to say like there's zero there has to be competition for there to be a crown. Or,
yeah,
you know, for somebody to hold the crown.
mm,
Uh, the competition level is it's just different. I don't want to say it's
yeah,
non-existent, but it's different. They're competing for different things now. So there's that angle too, but also from the consumer standpoint, it's just like
y- y-
people have so much access now to all these different sounds and styles
yeah,
where people can be just kings and queens of their own lanes, and there doesn't need to be one general, you know, holder of the crown. So it's a strange, I think, old
yeah,
school um mentality and way of thinking that um I just don't think works on
yeah.
this new generation and where we're at.
Exactly. So it's like especially like because nowadays they're listening to whatever's like whatever their I guess whatever their friends listening to whatever it's like everything's so fluid nowadays. People have consumer have so much leeway in what they want to listen to. If like they don't want to have an album from their phone on their phone, they can just delete it that
Yeah.
easily. They didn't like really pay money to download that specific album. But they pay money to a platform. I guess the platforms have the power now, so it's I don't know. It's yeah you don't I guess less power is to the artists in that sense. I guess more. I guess the consumer has more power because they're more picky and choosy. But yeah, it's there's no really king and queen in all of this. It's just music.
I absolutely agree. And I guess we could just end this off here. Um just just talk about how there was pessimism with how where rap is, obviously, with, you know, older people coming out, newer people coming in. For you, you know, just covering it, listening to everything that you listen to, what brings you optimism about where rap is and where rap is heading?
I guess I guess there's always like every I feel like every year there's always like there's a little subgenre that gets a little highlighted exposure to the like national stage. Like last year, I guess it was we saw a lot of the Jersey club scene blow up and things like that. And this year you might see more of like the Milwaukee scene. But I feel like a lot like the kids are so creative nowadays that there's always gonna be something new and that people can latch on to. And and that's what kind of like guides me is like finding that something new. So, that's what I look forward to and doing as well. Like have fun, just like searching around for like what's piquing my interest now because I don't know. Yeah, yeah. Just like I was saying, there's so many wormholes you can dive into. Just so that you're never really bored with music. People say they're bored of music. It's like kind of shows me that you're kind of maybe not really into music because there's nothing really boring about it.
Yeah,
If you actually have an intent to want to look for something.
absolutely. Yeah, no, if you want to search for something, you'll find it.
Yeah,
Like especially now,
exactly.
especially the amount of people that want to create music or actively creating music. It's not too hard to search and find exactly what you're looking for. You
Exactly.
know, so yeah, no, I completely agree.